Hello, everyone. Alex Miller at Capnion here. I'm going to start out today by talking about some pretty well known events about TikTok, and then I'm going to slide into some more obscure events in Europe. And the big theme here is data sovereignty, which I have been running around arguing is likely to be the as yet unrecognized emerging exciting new data headache of the 21st century. And I've got some cool ideas about how you can use privacy enhancing technologies to solve these problems. And I'm here to convince you should try to build some capability to do this. But first, the story. So, you've probably heard about TikTok. It's this app. Teens love it. They're telling their life stories on there. Happens to be owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. And there are concerns maybe that the Chinese government, maybe specifically the Chinese military, could get access to too much information on American citizens via leaning on ByteDance to give them the data. So there's talk about maybe TikTok could split off their U.S. part, so it's really a U.S. company now. Or a number of other things could happen, including there's been talk of banning it. It's been banned for various types of government employees. This is an example of an older trend, and it's especially pronounced in China. Maybe going back a little further, it was usually China that was concerned that this American app involving in China is collecting all this data under these standards that they didn't like. China, I believe, at least at some points in the past, was particularly aggressive about saying you need to split this off, or you need to have people work with a Chinese company, etc. There's a whole other line of conversation here about does this get into industrial espionage stuff and what's the story there? I'm not going to go into that at all. So, this is it's a little bit politically hot, but if you'd forgive me for weighing in, we're spying on them in an unwholesome way. They're spying on us in an unwholesome way. There's this general idea of data sovereignty, which I'm defining here as, well, information on my citizens, I'd like to be covered by my laws. I'd like the data to be in my country, whatever that means, to the extent that's meaningful. So I can sniff on it and nobody else, and I can make sure that no one's doing anything unsavory towards my citizens or illegal under my laws with the data. So this is a prototypical great example, both TikTok and then just our broader, longer relationship with China. We've actually been kind of fighting about these things back and forth for a while. I think it's worth kind of saying both sides here. Concerns about spying are legit. I think shady spying is probably going around in both directions. But then if any time you want to do business with an app internationally, you have to spin off a company and like a company under the laws of that wherever you're doing business, that's a real awful nightmare. Is anybody doing anything important on TikTok? I don't know. I want to move on here though, because this is actually under the hood some of the same problems we've been having with Europe, where, and you've seen me talk about this before, they don't really like it in Europe that data comes to the US where the NSA can spy on people. They have stronger privacy laws there that we're almost certainly breaking to the extent data ends up over here to break things. So in another similar kind of storyline, a Dutch court just found in favor of a class action lawsuit about Facebook, and that Facebook has been breaking the law and how it takes data to the United States. And these issues with Facebook have been going on a pretty long time, and there's definitely a sense maybe Facebook has just been kind of violating the law and kind of hiding out in these different adequacy frameworks. That, once again, is a whole new video. But an interesting wrinkle, if you go to read about this class action lawsuit, it's actually it's in the Netherlands, it's targeted at Facebook Ireland. Well, why is this true? Well, Facebook has a subsidiary in Europe, which they need to have to do business, but they put it in Ireland because lots of reasons, one of which might be that people regard the Data Protection Agency in Ireland as a soft touch. But here we're getting into exactly the same problems again of data crosses national boundaries. it can become pretty complicated depending on what kind of systems of federalism we've got in place. What exactly are those national boundaries, and like what are the politics of the headache of everybody being mad about everybody spying on everybody else? And I guess you can see my bias here that everybody spying on everybody else is kind of just a headache for everyday schmucks like me that would just like to build an app so people can show up to their I Am Flag football team event on time, or whatever it is, everyday life, versus the military trying to spy on the whole planet. We're doing the same themes again, and if everything went totally wrong with Europe, which doesn't seem likely right now, it would be exactly the same story of, one way we could permanently solve this problem is split off Facebook's operations in Europe as their own company, but totally obey European law, keep all the data in Europe. Facebook, I mean, I don't know why Facebook would be happy about that, and that would be some pretty heavy-duty stuff. But I just want to recap data sovereignty. Data is in some country versus another country. Everybody wants to spy on everybody else, but everybody else wants to also maintain their laws about how data is handled in their country. In this world where data flies around the world to go into a cloud server, Lord knows where, it creates weird problems with this. This whole slightly, I would say it's a little bit xenophobic and nationalist, and that's unfortunate conversation about China. That's an old issue. We have the same issue going on with Europe all the time, and it's just a little less contentious because we generally have a better relationship with them. But all told, worry about data sovereignty as a painful issue if you're a company that does business internationally coming up. Because when that freight train hits you, you can't say you didn't see it coming. It's been barreling down the tracks a long